本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛，南无本师释迦牟尼佛。波格热波格罗阿弥多心经观自在菩萨行深般若波罗阿弥多时，照见我云觉空，度一切苦舍利子，色不异空，空不异色，色即是空，空即是色，受想行识亦复如是。舍利子，是诸法空相，不生不灭，不垢不增不减，是故空中无色，无受想行识，无眼耳鼻舌身意，无色声香味触法，无眼界乃至无意识界。
야, 다들이.
So today,
예, 안다.
here,
가다 리미키 직쳐봐서
we have
다
practitioners,
좀 된데기 전장기 쳐봐 리수 맞아봐.
the followers of
대루를
Buddha
제제.
from different traditions,
두스리.
and we have said our prayers.
근데 만주다 지금 놀람 짜야 돼.
So what we pray for
지금 좀 된데 호랑기 배 람든 안에
is what the Buddha himself has taught us.
순수길이 제외 준비고 타연로의 러고공의 송 멀리 시시시
So the Buddha, regarding the Buddha himself,
의사세세네
Papa pays homage to the Buddha
좀 된데 호랑
from the point of view of having collected billions of merits and attained the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, speech which fulfills all the wishes and hopes of sentient beings, and the mind which sees everything as it is. So the body, which is the result of countless factors through which the Buddha attained the resultant enlightenment. And he himself thought about and gave thoughts to many countless factors and overcame all the shortcomings and defilements, and from his experience gave us his teaching, and then fulfills his speech, fulfills the wishes and hopes of the three types of beings, those with inferior, intermediate, and highest faculty. To them he gave his teaching. So this teaching of the Buddha is something which has good counsel for even non-believers as to how to be a good person and to have a good heart, warm-heartedness. So in accordance with the mental dispositions of these beings, he gave teaching on developing a good heart warm-heartedness. So in other words, what kind of causes were created by the Buddha himself to become enlightened? So we should do research on that. And so that the paths and the different factors that he has taken or created within himself could be emulated by us as well, because we have the Tathagata Garbha within ourselves. And so, though we have this Tathagata Garbha, the Buddha essence, or the potential for Buddhahood, but this is covered by different defilements, such as grasping at some independent existence of self. And therefore, by thinking about, giving thoughts to, and reflecting on selflessness, the teaching that Buddha gave, we will be able to pacify this grasping at independent existence of a self. So as a follower of a Buddha, a monk, a follower of a Buddha, my main practice, I daily reflect on bodhicitta, the altruistic spirit of enlightenment, and the view of emptiness on a daily basis. So, though things appear as if they have some objective independent existence from their side, yet we can confirm from our experience and insight that they do not exist the way they appear. So I can reflect on the fact that things are merely designated, that they are merely nominal. So because of this insight, the grasping at some true independent existence in things is reduced in its strength. And then together with it, we should also counter the self-cherishing attitude, which holds oneself very dear at the expense of others. And so, just as Lama Chöpa says, may I be able to see the disadvantages or shortcomings of self-cherishing attitude and the advantages of cherishing others over oneself, and therefore be able to exchange oneself with the others. So all sentient beings, we should understand that, are same in not wanting suffering but wanting happiness, and therefore in this sense we are all same, and therefore we should think of bringing happiness and benefit to all sentient beings. And to do that, we should understand that what binds us in samsara and in this suffering, unenlightened state is the grasping at true existence in things. And therefore, understanding this, we feel that though things do not have any independent existence, beings are bound in samsara, in suffering, because of this grasping at true existence. And then we should also cultivate the cherishing others over oneself as much as you can, as best as you can, and then insight into the fact that things do not exist the way they appear to us. So ultimately, understanding that things are merely designated and merely nominal. I'm not just repeating what is taught in the scriptures. This is what I think and contemplate daily. So when I think of emptiness, I'm able to see that things are like illusion. Though they appear in a certain way, they exist another way. And therefore, through one's acquaintance and familiarity, you will be able to reduce the strength of the self-cherishing attitude and the grasping at true existence in things. These two are misperceptions have been there within us since time beginningless. But having met with the teachings of the great masters, one understands that for one's own happiness, bodhicitta is the factor to bring it about. And for the happiness of others, to achieve happiness of others, it is bodhicitta which helps to bring about. So with this bodhicitta, one is at ease. One's mind is relaxed. Despite all the different unfavorable circumstances that are being caused by others, you are not disturbed. Your peace of mind is not disturbed, and you do not feel animosity or anger towards the others, the perpetrators. So, because of self-cherishing attitude, people are causing harm and hurt to others. And so, they are objects of our compassion. The beings, the spirits, ghosts, and harmful spirits, and so forth, are, in fact, objects of our compassion. And we should not turn our back to them. So if you are able to think through the disadvantages of self-cherishing attitude and the clinging to true existence in things, you are able to see how sentient beings are bound in this samsara since time beginningless. And therefore you feel how good it would be for me to work for the sentient beings' well-being, that they are free from the self-cherishing attitude and the true clinging at true existence in things. So what disturbs, usually when things disturb our mind, but with bodhicitta and the understanding that things do not when you understand that things do not exist the way they appear to us, they really give us peaceful state of mind. So Buddhism, and particularly the Nalanda tradition, coming from Master Nagarjuna and his disciples and followers like Chandrakirti. So when they explain these factors, the principles of bodhicitta and emptiness, and you understand that what they have said is true, then you feel that this is what it is. This is what you have said is true. As Tsongkhapa says, may I be moved to illuminate the treasure of happiness and benefit, the teaching of the Buddha, where it has spread before but declined, and where it has not spread before as well. So, I, as a Buddhist follower of Buddhism and a practitioner, a monk, I have studied these texts, the classic texts, and I find that the logical approach of Buddhism is incredible. So today, we, the Dharma brothers and sisters are meeting here, or have met here. So the bodhicitta and the view of emptiness cannot go out of time. It cannot be outdated. However degenerate the times may be, but they become more powerful to practice. And therefore, on a daily basis, I would like to urge you to think about bodhicitta and the view of emptiness, and understand that the so-called enemies of the Dharma and spirits and ghosts and so forth are objects of our compassion. Have compassion towards them, and they should not be thought to be beings that we need to overcome as such and shoo them away through rituals and so forth. And so we must feel compassion towards them. So that is how we should practice the Dharma. I also do practice bodhicitta and the view of emptiness as much as I can to the best of my ability, and they are very they prove very beneficial to me. So of course certain rituals for longevity may be helpful, but the practical practice for long life is bodhicitta. It gives you relaxed state of mind, and it is the best means for long life. So, directly and indirectly, you can benefit others, help others through bodhicitta and the view of emptiness. And therefore, this essence of the Dharma, we should reflect on these two principles to the best of our ability. So we are followers of the fourth Buddha of this fortunate eon, Shakyamuni Buddha. And so our aim should be the same as the Buddha himself. So we should think of becoming like the Buddha himself, and therefore practice bodhicitta and the view of emptiness. We should work hard and be diligent in cultivating these two principles. It's very important. So please have tea first.
Yeah, please repeat the offering prayer after me. I make offering to the Buddha. I make offering to the Dharma. I make offering to the Sangha. I make offering to all sentient beings. May I refrain from all evil. May I do all good. May I benefit all sentient beings.
So when I was coming to the temple, you were saying the prayer, the crowning jewel of the learned ones of the land of snows, Tsongkhapa. So then I felt that because I was born in the vicinity of Tsongkhapa's birthplace, Tsongkhapa who lived many centuries ago, and today I can call myself student of Tsongkhapa, and I am a Dharma practitioner, a Dharma brother or practitioner whom Tsongkhapa can trust. So far I have done my best, very sincerely. I will still continue to do so for the rest of my life until I am over 100 years. So of course, when Tsongkhapa came, we didn't have talk about science, modern science as such. But today, modern science had advanced so far. And so through the teachings on the middle way, philosophy and epistemology, I have exchanged with scientists, and many scientists consider me a scientist. So today, when we talk about science, people consider science to be dealing with truth. So, of course, when we discuss about particles, the subatomic particles and so forth. The scientists also appreciate what we have to offer in terms of knowledge. So, being someone who was born in the vicinity of the birthplace of Tsongkhapa, I have studied also his writings on Madhyamaka philosophy and also practiced them. And because of having practiced the teaching, when I share with others, it also helps and benefits others. Doesn't it? So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you. So the teaching that we are going to go through is the Autocommentary of Chandrakirti's Entering the Middle Way. So I have received the transmission of this text, the root text, and the Autocommentary of Madhyamaka Avatara. And I reflect on the teaching, on it daily. So what I get impression is there is Buddha and Master Nagarjuna and then Chandrakirti, and then at the end of the row, I feel that I am there. Lama Tendrup, my childhood name. So this teaching of the Buddha, which is very logical, and through which we can have discussions with modern scientists as well. So such a teaching is being preserved by oneself and also share it with others. So from Buddhist countries, many different Buddhist countries, we have monks, Theras. Many of the Theras have come here, and we are the followers of the same teacher. So I would like to greet you on this occasion, give a special greetings to you, welcome you. So we should not discriminate ourselves as followers of the higher or lower vehicle. And Master Chandrakirti says, so, at the end of the Master Madhyamaka Avatara, Chandrakirti says, so though someone may be very learned, they may still not be able to understand the profound emptiness. So unless we do study the teaching, there is danger that we will not be able to fathom the depth of the teaching of the Buddha well. So Master Chandrakirti's use of logic can actually convince people who do not believe in the teaching of the Master Nagarjuna with regard to the ultimate reality to come to feel convinced of it. So Mula Madhyamaka Karika by Nagarjuna and his the commentary on it by Chandrakirti, the Entering into the Middle Way, are the texts of Madhyamaka, the middle way texts. So this Madhyamaka Avatara and its Bhashya, the Autocommentary, are true explanations of the meaning of Mula Madhyamaka Karika. So if we could reflect on these teachings on a daily basis to the best of our ability, the purpose of these teachings being to bring transformation within the followers and disciples. So when you do the practice of the Dharma, you should feel that you are actually making an offering of practice to these past masters. So in other words, by practicing on a daily basis, the bodhicitta, the altruistic spirit of awakening and view of emptiness, when you do your practice sincerely on a daily basis, you are making offering of practice to the great learned masters. So the verse that His Holiness was reciting from Madhyamaka Avatara was chapter 1155. This suchness, just explained, is most profound and terrifying, yet people with past habituation will certainly realize it. Others, however, despite vast learning, will fail to comprehend it, and so forth. So we are on chapter 2 of Madhyamaka Avatara Bhashya. So we're on page 29 of Cherinov's translation. Similarly, because of lack of morality, the extremely foolish thoroughly utilize resources incorrectly. Hence, because of not projecting the causes which did not formerly exist, and because of thoroughly utilizing the every cause that were projected formerly, thereafter there will be no prospect for wealth in the future. Not only it is difficult to obtain difficult to obtain resources that arise perfectly for those who lack, ones who lacked the lacks of morality, but for those who have gone to bad migration, it would be extremely difficult for them to escape from those bad migrations. So it says, when engaging independently and abidingly. So when we have attained this kind of human life now and have met with the precious teaching of the Buddha, we should do our best to combine the practice of bodhicitta and the view of emptiness, to tread along the path to reach, so that ultimately we are able to reach the omniscient state of Buddhahood. So for me, I can feel that I may be able to reach the path of, having already reached the path of accumulation, I may be able to reach the path of preparation, the next stage in the Bodhisattva path. So when I reflect on my own experience, I can see that I have the experience of the accumulation, of path of accumulation. And so, to reach the path of preparation or application, one needs to combine shamatha and vipassana. So, as someone who was born in the vicinity of Tsongkhapa's birthplace, Skumbum, in this degenerate age, I am I have become someone who serves the teaching of the Master Lama Tsongkhapa. I may be able to become like him to a certain degree, I may say. So we are at such a time that the Dharma is declining. But with the help of science and modern subjects and using our own traditional approach of logic, we have quite an abundant factors for the in order to serve the teaching of the Buddha through both analytical and focused meditations. And thereby, we may be also able to tread along the path of accumulation, to path of preparation, path of seeing, the path of meditation, and the path of normal learning, the Buddhahood. So we have the opportunity to do this now, and what we should do is to seize this opportunity. And by seizing the opportunity, we should progress along the path through the process of first studying and developing the understanding based on that, and also developing the conviction and understanding through conviction, through reflection, and then developing the experience through meditation. So I do not need, there's no reason for me as a Buddhist monk to lie to you. But there is a possibility to make change within oneself, one's own mind, through the process of study, reflection, and meditation. So when he's like a hero abiding in an agreeable place, liberated from bondage, engaging as desired without relying on others, and abiding in the migration of gods, humans, and so forth, if one does not act to uphold himself like having bound a hero and thrown him into very great ravine, after having gone through bad migration, who will take him out? Hence, because they act to harm, one is definitely in only bad migrations. So, Madhyamaka Avatara, in Madhyamaka Avatara, Master Chandrakirti pays homage to the great compassion right in the beginning of his text. So because of compassion, one can develop peaceful state of mind, and there's no anxiety as such. And so once you have developed the great compassion, it is quite certain that one will be able to develop the path of accumulation and onwards. So Madhyamaka Avatara says, as compassion alone is accepted to be the seed of the perfect harvest of Buddhahood, the water that nourishes it, and the fruit that is long a source of enjoyment, I will praise compassion at the start of all. So as human beings, we were nurtured by our mother's affection and her milk. Even animals raise their children like that. So we are not like miraculous birth. We were born from the womb of a mother and nurtured by her milk. And therefore, we have the potential for feeling compassion and love towards others as well. And so, the 7 to 8 billion people on this earth are all same. in that they were born from their mother and from the womb of the mother and nurtured by her milk. And so we should keep in mind this love and affection that we have received from our mother. And even when you die, if you were surrounded by affectionate, loving people, you will have the opportunity to be familiar with love and compassion throughout in this and the future lives. So in this way, with compassionate mind will bring a lot of other qualities within oneself. And therefore, this homage in the beginning of Madhyamaka Avatara to compassion is something really incredible. So compassion is, of course, something that we can experience instinctively, and we should pay attention to that. So when you have compassion, what you've experienced is you are unbearable. You feel the suffering of others unbearable, and then with the help of that you develop bodhicitta, and therefore combine that with the view of emptiness. And so this commentary, Autocommentary of Madhyamaka Avatara is the teaching that we are going through. And you are listening to this transmission. So this warm-heartedness, the thought and intention to benefit others is what we should practice. And when you wish others to be out of suffering, you should also understand what is the root of this suffering, and then you understand that the root of suffering is uprooted by the view of emptiness. So as followers, so as the teacher, I make bodhicitta and view of emptiness as my principal practice. And you should also have met with the Dharma, and therefore, life after life, you should aim to experience, have go through happy state, from happy to happy state, and make these two principles, bodhicitta and view of emptiness, as your main practice. So going back, when engaging independently and abiding agreeably, if one does not act to uphold one by falling into the abyss, one will engage controlled by others. Who will raise him from that letter? When he is like a hero abiding in an agreeable place, liberated from bondage, engaging as desired without relying on others, and abiding in the migrations of gods, humans, and so forth, it does not. If one does not act to uphold himself, like having bound a hero and throw him into a very great ravine after having gone to bad migrations, who will take him out? Hence, because they act to harm, one is definitely in only bad migrations. Therefore, it is taught in the Sutra on the 10 grounds, then even if born among humans, true maturation will be manifestly achieved. Because such broken morality is the abode of very many collections of faults. Therefore, the conqueror, having given the discourse on giving, gave the very discourse on morality, that which follows. Therefore, the conqueror who defeated every negative quality, in order that the qualities of giving and so forth not be wasted, immediately after the time of discourse on giving, gave only the discourse on morality. Because if the the qualities are increased in the field of morality, the enjoyment of results will be unceasing. Because of being the support of all qualities, morality itself is a field. Therefore, if the qualities of giving and so forth are increased by means of not ceasing higher and higher stages of continuation of causes and results, the collection of results increases and is able to utilize for a long time. Otherwise, they are not. We are on page 30. Because of that, by this method, for ordinary beings, those born from speech, those with definite character towards solitary enlightenment, and the conqueror's children, the cause of definite goodness and the highest status is not other than morality, as extensively taught in the Sutra on the 10 grounds, relying upon the abundantly enacting these paths of action of the 10 non-virtues to great degree becomes a cause of health and sentient beings. Middling becomes a cause of an animal state of rebirth. Small becomes the cause of the world of Lord of Death. There, through killing, sentient beings are led to hells, led to an animal state of rebirth, led to the world of Lord of Death. Then even if born among humans, 2 maturations will be manifestly achieved, short life and many diseases. Through taking what is not given, sentient beings are led to hells, led to an animal state of rebirth, led to the world of Lord of Death. Then, even if being born among humans, 2 maturations will be manifestly achieved. Small resources and shared common resources. Through sexual misconduct, sentient beings are led to hell, led and led to an animal state of rebirth, led to the world of Lord of Death. Then, even if born among humans, 2 maturations will be manifestly achieved. Unreliable servants and a wife with one's rivals. Through speaking falsely, sentient beings are led to hell. An abundant slander and deception of others. Through divisiveness, sentient beings are led to hell. And servants in discord and bad servants. Through harsh words, sentient beings are led to hell. And to hear the unattractive and unpleasant words of dispute. Through senseless words, sentient beings are led to hell. And not being words worthy to be held, and uncertain self-confidence. Through covetous minds, sentient beings are led to hell. They led to animal state, blah, blah, and not knowing satisfaction and great desires. Through harmful mind, malicious thoughts, sentient beings are led to hell, led to animal state of rebirth and so forth, and not seeking benefit, harm done by others. Through wrong view, sentient beings are led to hell, led to animal state of rebirth, led to world of Lord of Death. Then even if born among humans, 2 maturations will manifestly to fall into bad views and possess disease. Thus, these paths of action, 10 non-virtues, will collect an immeasurable mass of suffering. Yet, through the course of perfectly undertaking the paths of action and 10 virtues, rebirths will exist, such as rebirths as gods and gods and humans, up to the peak of existence. Above that, if these paths of action of the 10 virtues and are fully meditated upon through the aspect of trifling attitude, mind terrified by the 3 realms, without compassion and wisdom following that heard from others, induced from sounds, one will fully accomplish the hearer's vehicle. Above that, if fully practiced through placing no regard in others, aiming for one's own manifest complete Buddhahood, without great compassion and skill in means, and bearing in mind the very condition here, the profound, one will fully accomplish solitary realizes a vehicle. Above that, if fully trained through with extensive, immeasurable, merciful heart, possessing compassion that included in skill in means, firmly making great prayer, not forsaking any sentient being, and referring to very extensive, exalted wisdom of Buddhahood, one will fully purify the Bodhisattva grounds and establish the great extensive, fully purified practice of gone beyond. Practice has gone beyond. Because of that, except for those paths of action of 10 virtues by these methods, there does not exist another means of attainment for ordinary beings, hearers, solitary realizers, and bodhisattvas, and of any kind of high status, samsaric happiness or definite goodness, possessing the characteristic of liberation, the nature which is neither happiness nor suffering. Therefore, aforesaid will be clearly indicated. The bodhisattva of the second mind generation, just like the ocean together with the corpse and the auspiciousness together with the calamities, or black-nosed, thus does the great being, the power of morality, not wish to abide together with that broken. That black-nosed is synonymous with inauspiciousness or calamities. Thus, the explanation of division of the previously explained morality gone beyond is abandoning by whom, what, and regarding whom, if reference to the three exists, that morality is explained as a so-called mundane gone beyond. That morality in reference to the three exists is indicated as mundane gone beyond. That emptied of clinging to the three, the supramundane. That very morality, if without reference to the three which were explained, is explained as so-called supramundane gone beyond. So His Holiness finished the second chapter, and now we are on the third chapter. So the third chapter, now from the viewpoint of the third mind generation, because a light arises out of the fire which burns the entire fuel of objects of knowledge, this third ground, luminous, and was mentioned. Luminous is the name of the third bodhisattva ground. Further, if it is asked, why is it luminous? It acts to indicate accordance with the meaning, since at that time there arises a light of fire of exalted wisdom which burns the entire fuel of the objects of knowledge, possessing the essential nature of pacification. Therefore, this ground is explained as luminous. To the Tathagata's child, who generated the third mind, there arises a copper-like appearance, thus like the sun. Just as prior to the occasion of sunrise, there arises a copper-like appearance, similarly also to the bodhisattva on that ground, there arises the appearance of exalted wisdom there. And in order to indicate patience gone beyond as surpassing for bodhisattva who obtained the appearance of exalted wisdom like that, even if someone of misplaced disturbance will cut from his body flesh along with bone, for a long time, bit by bit, patience due to that strongly grows for the kata. So in verse 3, chapter 3, it says, whatever is cut, by whom, when, and how, from the bodhisattva who sees selflessness, since also phenomena are seen like their reflections, hence he is patient. So this comes because of the understanding of emptiness. He not only becomes very surpassingly patient, having observed the great suffering of hell, and so forth, having the condition of that evil action, since he also sees phenomena similar to reflections are separate from the discrimination of I and mine. He is therefore also very extremely patient. The terms whatever, whom, when and how are in order to include the causes of patience. This patience is not only a feature appropriate to bodhisattvas, since it is also a cause of safeguarding every quality of those other than them. To explain to the impatient several, a reversal from anger as proper. So, if you always think of retaliating others for the harm they cause to them, there's never going to be any end to your anger. So due to harm done, if you are belligerent towards one, can hostility for them reverse what is already done? Therefore, resenting them is definitely meaningless here. It also becomes unfavorable in other worlds, is said. If you are belligerent towards someone who did harm, so when someone harms you, of course, that is already done. The action is done. But if you bear resentment and then you try to retaliate, it causes more problems and difficulties. And therefore, patience, practice of patience is really important. So if you belligerent, this gives the opportunity of inner agitation for some time. Then, because the harm already done is without reversal, the hostile attitude referring to him is just meaningless, because what was to be done was already done. Not only is resentment of this pointless now, it will become unfavorable also to other worlds because of generating anger and throwing unattractive maturation. There are some who, while experiencing the different results of faulty deeds done by themselves due to confusion, think, the other did that harm to me, and with regard to that thought, employ belligerence toward the harmer in order to avert whatever desire there is to defeat harm of that through implying harm in response. It is explained, the very one desiring to express as exhausted those results of non-virtue done in the past. How is it possible he leads to suffering again through harm and belligerence towards the other? The very great suffering of harm inflicted upon someone's body by enemies through bringing down the edges of sharp weapon upon it is the final result arising from the action of killing in the past. The severe, fully ripened results of held beings, animal rebirths, the world of lords of death, and so forth were experienced. And what are these causes of averting without exception? The unpleasant results of those having still remaining afflictions, results similar to cause, since transforming into the aspect such just like that again, like the last dose of medicine, the cause of curing the existing inside through disturbance from within and harm to others, they will lead to the very cause which give rise to results harming much more than even the unpleasant results already past. Because of that, as one acts towards a physician operating with a sharp instrument, through that being the cause of curing the disease, very great patience is proper towards cause which give rise to temporal suffering. In order to indicate that impatience is not only the cause of throwing extensive unpleasant maturation in the manner explained, it is also the cause of exhausting the collection of merit accumulated over a long time. Since, due to belligerence to conqueror's children, virtues have risen from giving and morality accumulated for 100 eons are destroyed in an instant. Therefore, there exists no evil other than impatience, was mentioned. If a bodhisattva, Mahasattva, great being strongly superimposes true and untrue faults upon those who generate the minds towards enlightenment and generates the thought of anger, a mere instant, because of the absence of ascertaining the qualification due to the person, that is, their being a bodhisattva, or although that has already been ascertained, because of engaging in afflictions in reliance upon familiarization, if due to merely that, the collection of merit accumulated for 100 eons generated from familiarization with giving and morality gone beyond, which were indicated before, will be destroyed, leave alone mentioning the generation towards a bodhisattva by one who is not a bodhisattva. Therefore, as the quantity of water in the great ocean cannot be ascertained through measurement. The extent of maturation in that cannot be ascertained. Therefore, sins like that, there does not exist another evil greater than impatience, which throws unpleasant results and harms virtue. Also saying that the Manjushri Sports Sutra taught, Manjushri, anger, so-called anger, acts to thoroughly destroy virtue accumulated for 100 years. Therefore, it is called anger. Furthermore, the impatient, unable to learn others, acts to destroy only themselves. The evil, lacking compassion, act to harm themselves and others. By its mere production, it produces an ugly form and leads to the unholy, robs the full analysis which knows right and wrong, and later, having given up agreeable family, impatience quickly acts to cast into bad migration. If those are the faults of impatience, what are the qualities of patience? It is explained. Patience produces qualities contrary to those already explained. Through patience, one will be beautiful, dear to holy beings, and skilled in knowing right and wrong, and after that reborn with gods and humans, and evils will be exhausted. With regard to patience, one should know those qualities which are contrary to those which were indicated as faults regarding impatience. Therefore, like that, ordinary beings and conquerors' children, knowing the faults and qualities of belligerence and patience, having abandoned impatience, should always quickly observe the patience venerated by the Arya beings. Belligerence and patience and belligerence and patience. Faults and are belligerence and patience. Faults and qualities being qualities, faults and qualities, the two phrases are joined. The faults and qualities of belligerence and patience. By means of reversing from the faults of belligerence, which were explained, bearing in mind the qualities of patience, having abandoned impatience, at all times only patience is the object to be observed. And now, in order to indicate the divisions of patience gone beyond, although dedicated to the enlightenment of complete Buddhahood, if reference to the three exists, it is mundane. Although already fully dedicated to Buddhahood itself, if there exists reference to the three, what patience by whom, and patience towards what sentient being. The patience is called mundane patience gone beyond. That itself, without reference, the Buddha taught, saying supramundane gone beyond. On that ground, just as the Bodhisattva's patience gone beyond will be completely pure, similarly, on that ground, the conqueror's children obtain concentrations and clairvoyance, and attachment and hatred will be completely exhausted. Due to that, they will also be able to overcome the attachment of mundane desire. The terms concentration of the so-called concentrations above, being an illustrative meaning, holds also the absorptions and immeasurables, as taught in the Bodhisattva grounds of the Sutra of 10 Grounds. The Bodhisattva who abides on this luminous ground of the Bodhisattva is isolated from desire, is isolated from evil, non-virtuous practices, achieving the first concentration, having joy and happiness, generated from isolation, having investigation, having analysis, he abides, separated from investigation and analysis, and completely pure insight, having the second concentration, having joy and happiness generated from the meditative stabilization, without investigation, without analysis, as it is a single continuum of consciousness, he abides. So page 37, abiding in equanimity, separated from attachment and joy, and having mindfulness and alertness, he experiences bodily happiness. The equanimity possessing mindfulness and alertness, which is expressed by the Arya, achieving the third concentration, without joy he abides, abandoning also that happiness, being neither happy nor suffering. Since earlier suffering was abandoned and mental happiness unhappiness and mental unhappiness disappeared, equanimity and mindfulness completely pure. Achieving the fourth concentration he abides. The aforesaid are the four concentrations. The four formless absorptions are like this. One, perfectly passing beyond the discrimination of form in any way, since the discrimination of obstruction disappeared, and the various discriminations are not attended to. Having considered space is infinite, achieving the entrance of infinite space, he abides. Perfectly passing beyond the entrance of infinite space in all ways, having considered consciousness is infinite, achieving the entrance of infinite consciousness, he abides. Perfectly passing beyond the entrance of infinite consciousness in all ways, having considered nothing at all exists, achieving the entrance of nothing at all, he abides. Perfectly passing beyond the entrance of nothing at all in all ways, having considered gross discrimination does not exist. Subtle discrimination is not existent. Achieving the entrance of without gross discrimination, not without subtle, he abides. There are aforesaid of the four formless absorptions. The four immeasurables are like this. A vast and extensive mind possessing love, unique, immeasurable, and unresentful, matchless, unobscured, and harmless, since pervading all to all, having been bounded by the sphere of Dharma, reached the limits of space, and pervaded the worlds, possessing all, achieving, he abides. Similarly, the four vast minds, possessing compassion, possessing joy, and possessing equanimity, are like the former. The five clairvoyances are like this. He experiences many types of performances of magical emanations. He shakes the earth. Having been one, they become many, being visible and becoming invisible, traveling directly into walls, traveling directly into barriers, and traveling directly into mountains, unobstructed, as if in space. He travels cross-legged in space, as if a feathered bird. He raises above the ground and enters burrowing, as if in water. He travels on the water, not sinking, as if on earth. With his body, he acts to emit smoke, acts to ablaze, as if a mass of fire, and sending forth great streams of water, as if a great cloud. Even fire strongly spreading everywhere and blazing everywhere and strongly blazing in these great 3,000 world systems, becoming one flame, are extinguished by these streams of water. Even the two, the moon and sun, with great emanations like this, great strengths like this, he holds and strokes with his hands. Up to the world of Brahma, he dominates with his body. The aforesaid is clairvoyance and magical emanations. And number two, since the completely pure divine ear element surpasses the human, he hears the sounds of gods and humans. Hears sounds minute and loud, and those however far, however close, even to extent of flies, flies, bees, and insects. This is the clairvoyance of divine ear. With the mind thoroughly knowing, just exactly as they are really, the minds of other sentient beings and minds of other persons, he thoroughly knows just exactly as they really are. Minds with attachments, as minds with attachments, such knows just exactly as they really are. Minds separated from attachments, as minds separated from attachments. Similarly, those with hatred and separated from hatred, with confusion separated from confusion, with delusions and divorced from delusion, small and broad, became great, immeasurable, brief and extensive, occupied and not occupied, fully liberated and not fully liberated, faulty and faultless. He thoroughly knows just as they really are. Coarse minds, coarse minds thoroughly knows just as they are really. They really are minds which are not coarse, called minds which are not coarse. Hence, with his mind, he thoroughly knows just exactly as they are really are, the minds of other sentient beings and minds of other persons. The aforesaid is clairvoyance of knowing others' minds. Remembering many types of former states, he remembers 1 lifetime, 2 lifetimes, there 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 1,000. He remembers many hundreds of lifetimes, thousands of lifetimes, many hundreds, thousands of lifetimes, many hundreds of thousands of kotis of lifetimes, many hundred thousands of niyutta of kotis of lifetime, and the eon of annihilation, the eon of formation, the eons of annihilation and formation. He remembers 100 eons, remembers 1,000 eons, remembers 100,000 eons, 1 koti eons, 100 koti eons, 1,000 koti of eons, from 100,000 kotis of eons to many 100,000 niyuttas of kotis of eons. In such and such a place, I was called such and such a name, called such and such a family, called such and such a caste, ate food like this, was capable of this much life, abided this long an extent, experienced happiness and suffering like this, having died and transferred. From that I was born in such and such place, having died and transferred. From that I was born here, with their aspects, with their motives and their reasons, Thus he remembers many types of former lives. This is clairvoyance remembering former states. Since the completely pure divine eye surpasses the humans, he sees sentient beings dying and suffering and being reborn, of pleasant color and unpleasant color, gone to happy and gone to bad migrations, good and bad. He thoroughly knows just exactly as they really are, the sentient beings migrating just exactly in accordance with their karma. He thoroughly knows, these sentient beings have faulty behavior of body, having faulty behavior of speech, having faulty behavior of mind, reviling the areas they possess wrong views. Due to the karma of wrong views, upon the disintegration of the body which was perfectly received after death, they are born in some bad migration, completely fallen as hell beings. These sentient beings having proper behavior of body, mind, speech, and mind, not reviling areas, they possess right view. Due to the karma of right view, upon the disintegration of the body which was perfectly received after death, they are born in happy migration in the world of high status among the gods. Hence, since the completely pure divine eye surpasses humans, seeing sentient beings dying and transferring and being reborn of pleasant color and unpleasant color from the aforesaid until seeing all with their aspects, with their motives and with their reasons, thoroughly knowing sentient beings migrating just exactly in accordance with karma. Although absorbing and rising in these concentrations and absorptions, he is intent on them as seen as fully completing the limbs of enlightenment. Hence, the other than rebirth, through the power of having made prayers, he is not born by the power of those. If asked, why is that? Because of Bodhisattva. Because the Bodhisattva like this possesses a continuum of consciousness which strongly achieves through skill in means is set forth. Hence, here, the concentrations and clairvoyance will arise in the Bodhisattva. If asked, how will attachment and hatred be fully exhausted? The term and means also, in order to include the unmentioned, his confusion being exhausted. Also, how? Also this, according to Sutra, it was taught. By that, since all phenomena merely rely on conditions, a good deal more than by conceiving merely without transference and merely without destruction, all fetters of desire will be diminished. All fetters of forms, fetters of existence and fetters of ignorance will be diminished. The fetters which were views were abandoned earlier. The Bodhisattva
사이 개부 사이 개부 사이 따보 왕으로 규르제 외심전을 대발로 되자 넘버도 터부 줘발로 창화당 소인시 심전을 전대배
All fetters of desire, the Bodhisattva abiding in the luminous ground of the Bodhisattva will abandon wrong attachments not decreased in many hundreds eons, many thousand eons, many hundred thousand eons, many kotis of eons, through many hundreds, thousand yutas of eons. He will abandon wrong hatred, which was not so abandoned. He will abandon wrong confusion, which was not abandoned. Hence, its attachment, hatred, and confusion will be fully exhausted. If asked, in what way is he always able to overcome the attachment of world's desire, as was taught? O children of conquerors, this is a brief presentation of the third Bodhisattva ground, called luminous. The Bodhisattva abiding on it mostly become the Deva kings. Deva lords. Indra is trained and are the principle in achieving the means of completely averting all sentient beings' attachment of desire, and is skilled in extricating sentient beings from the mud of desire. Hence, the children of conqueror will be able to overcome attachment of the world's desire, having indicated that without doubt, with this Bodhisattva on the ground, Bodhisattva the third ground will attain completely pure patience, going beyond the concentration, immeasurables, absorptions, clairvoyance, and full exhaustion of attachment, and so forth. Now, reaching patience gone beyond, in order to clarify the presentation of 1. The difference of support of the first 3 practices gone beyond, and 2. The nature of the collections, and 3. The fully accomplished result is explained. The 3 practices of generosity and so forth mostly were venerated by the Tathagata for householders. Also, the collection of merit, just they are the causes of the Buddha body whose essence is form. Indeed, only bodhisattvas are supports of giving and so forth, which were explained. Yet, nevertheless, it was expressed as stated in terms of 2 possibilities for them. Due to the division of householders and monks, these, for householders, mostly the 3 practices of generosity and so forth are easy to achieve. There. For monks, joyous efforts, concentration, and wisdom are. Still, one is not impossible for the other. The collection of courses of Buddhahood are 2, which are the collection of merit and collection of exalted wisdom. With regard to that, it is thoroughly presented saying the collection of merit is those with very 3 gone beyond. The collection of exalted wisdom is concentration and wisdom. Joyous effort is the cause of both. That which is the collection of merit is the cause of form body of the Buddha Bhagavan, the marvelous possessor of the character of hundreds of merits and having various unimaginable forms. The cause of the body, which possesses the essence of Dharma, having character without generation, is the collection of the exalted wisdom. So, His Holiness finished the 3rd chapter. So from the explanation of the supplements to the middle way, the 3rd mind generation. So we'll stop here for today. As I have already explained earlier, in any case, we are at a phase of the decline or degeneration of the Dharma, Buddha Dharma. But for us, we have met with this profound and vast teaching of the Buddha and the teachings of the Master Nagarjuna and his followers and disciples, and Asanga and brothers and their disciples and followers. So we have these texts with us, and we are able to receive teachings from our gurus, our teachers. So we have a very good opportunity to have access to these teachings, which we should not waste. And I would like to urge you to practice as best you can, to practice the Dharma well. This ground anointed with perfume strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine it as a pure Buddha field and offer it to you. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Rana Mandala Kamnayataya. Should say Kangri Rave. So His Holiness has something to say. So of course we find in the text, through familiarity, nothing becomes not easy. When you are not familiar, when you are not used to doing something, you find things very difficult. You may say, oh, that's very difficult to do. But over time, as you spend time, months and years, you will find these practices of method and wisdom very difficult. Of course, you may think so, but through familiarity with these practices, for example, when I was young, I found certain things very difficult to experience, but through experience, by familiarizing myself with these practices, they became easier. So do not lose heart, do not feel discouraged, because if you spend few years, then in retrospect, you'll be able to see that what you had thought was not possible for you to achieve. You'll see yourself achieving them, and therefore keep this in mind, that there is nothing which does not become easier through familiarization, as it is said in Shantideva's Bodhisattva Charya-avatar. So this is dedication verse. I dedicate all these roots of virtue, with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones, thus gone of the 3 times, so that I may perform the noble bodhisattva deeds. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samanthabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect examples. So that's the verse that was recited for dedication. Chang